This week, Combine, week in Indy, draft or trade, finding the right quarterback for your NFL team, Peking Duck, NBA guys supporting their schools. It's a great episode. Enjoy.
Fresh off the Four Nations Face-Off, DK, the highly successful Four Nations Face-Off, I'm going to focus on hockey this week, something I don't always do. And the best place for hockey right now is 500level.com to get all those t-shirts of all the NHL stars, the Four Nations Face-Off stars. Alex Ovechkin, Marc-Andre Fleury, the legend, Sidney Crosby, Sid the Kid. Mystery shirts for $10 at 500level.com. Use the discount code DK and RIP at checkout for 20% off everything on the site. That's DKANDRIP. 500level.com. Let's go.
Yo, aloha. Welcome to the One Star Recruits podcast, checking in 179 pounds. Live from the Portland studio, February 25th. Rip, how you living? How you feeling?
I'm feeling good. The sun is shining here in Southern California. I have a question for you, though. We have listeners asking behind your back a little bit, texting me directly. Are you going to say your weight every week for the rest of eternity? Because I'm hearing that some listeners are fast forwarding through that part, unfortunately. What do you think about that?
It's just personal accountability for me. I figure if I say my weight every week, if I start saying 190, I got a legion of thousands of people who are going to get on me. It's accountability and paint a picture, for folks a little bit what they're dealing with. Rip, just screw them if they don't like it. People want to know. A lot of people want to know how DK's weight going. I've gotten more texts on the other side from listeners saying, hey, how about those Hokas and your weight? What do you recommend? I think I'm going to start doing some walking. And it's going the other way on my end, Rip. I don't know how much I believe you.
Well, just so you know, I might do a little experiment. I actually want to see how much you listen to the show, because I might edit the part out where you say your weight one of these episodes and see if you respond to that. See if you catch that and text me and say, what the hell did you do here? I might do that one of these weeks.
I won't catch you, bro. Actually, very, very, very rarely do I have the nerve or the chutzpah to listen to myself on a podcast. Still is like the cringiest. Might as well put the worst sound in the world, nails on a chalkboard situation for me to listen back to a podcast. I'll listen to a couple. I would say maybe 1 out of 5 I'll go back and listen to with a lot of 30-second things through. I just think it's normal. It's like hearing yourself on a voicemail back in the day. Nobody likes the way that they sound. I don't think a lot of people like their takes usually, but I love it. And I don't know if that's common, Rip. I don't know if that's as common. I think maybe do most content creators or most entertainers or most people who do something on a public platform go back and listen and analyze? It seems painful.
I think we've been doing something as long as us. We're up there with the Joe Rogans and the Howard Sterns in the hierarchy of
no, we're not
radio legends. Like been doing it for a long time. I think at first when you start out, you probably listen back to critique yourself and cringe a little bit. But now, yeah, every week for 5 years, however long we've been doing it for, probably heard enough of ourselves at this point.
We still suck. And that might be my own self-deprecating, but those other guys you just named, Rip, that is very kind of you. Your aspiration's amazing. At the end of the day, we love doing it. I don't love listening back to it. It's a slower time in sports. It's been a slower time in guests on our show. So it's been a lot more me and you, Rip. Got some stuff to talk about. I got some good stories from the weekend. I went to Phoenix, flew from Portland down to Phoenix this weekend. Crazy down there. It's the best time to be in Arizona, because the temperature is perfect. Spring training's going on. There's a little mix of loves in the air. It's the first place that spring touches. The 602. Spring touches Arizona before it hits anybody else. Daylight savings, baby. It was gorgeous, though. It was a very nice trip. I only did 48 hours. I was in and out. I think that might be my new travel time for visiting parents in the future. 48 hours. I like that. I'd like you to maybe practice that when you go to Prescott, Rip, or go up to San Jose. I don't know if it's possible. How good does that sound when it comes out of my mouth, though? 48 hours, in and out, 2 meals, in and out, back home.
It's nice when you can get a direct flight from Portland, what, 90 minutes maybe, just shoot right back with no layovers. And yeah, just easy commute from the airport to see your parents. Me having to go to Prescott, it's like, feels like it takes 48 hours to get there sometimes. I'm in a minivan for 10 hours, stopping in Blythe for gas. I mean, it's a very one-star experience compared to what you're doing up there.
Rip, rip, rip. People can fly to Mesa now, if you don't know. Arizona talk early in the podcast. Mesa, though, starting to take a lot of the West Coast cities in to direct flights if you didn't want to go do the drive. Maybe Flagstaff, Rip, might be closer. I'm not sure. Big complainer. Tons of stuff to do on that drive. Go through Wickenburg, go to Anderson's Pea Soup, get some beef jerky, some Indian fry bread. You can get the sweet version with a powdered sugar and honey, or you can get the ones with refried beans and a taco. World's your oyster, pretty much. We got to get to Indianapolis. We love Indiana. It's been our top state until we dropped the Jello Ball episode, which has taken the internet by storm. It took the internet by storm. We did like a double after Jello became a rapper extraordinaire, the most famous rapper on the planet. That podcast took off a little bit and passed all of our Indiana podcasts. Rip, for a while, we were setting records with IU alumni. Go ahead, give the listeners just a couple names.
Yeah, really all the legends, who's who of Indiana basketball: Calbert Cheney, Steve Alford, athletic director Scott Dolson. I think I'm missing one. I mean, we had basically all the top guys out there. We're not Woodson yet. We need to get Mike Woodson before he retires out there.
Before he's out of there. Before the bottom line is before everybody leaves Indiana and Indianapolis. It's fine now. I just saw that the Indiana men's basketball bus caught on fire yesterday. Could be some karma, a little bit of things to come. Unfortunately, it looks like people are not locking in Indiana. See, Coach Woodson could be on his way out. See, Rip, the NFL Combine happening this week could be on its way out of Indy, which sounds a little bit crazy to me. But the future's in chaos there right now in Indianapolis. The stakes really, Rip, right now with this historic host, this historic city, mostly known for, to be honest, a lot of the fast food items in this country. When they tried new fast food items, the first city to get it, Indianapolis. So if you ever want to try new fast food menu items, go to Indy. A fun fact, I'm going on a tangent. Second city, Phoenix, Arizona. They drop a lot of new items there for fast food. I guess the demographics make sense. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh, yeah. So Indy, dude, it's hosted this combine since 1987. But the NFL's 2021 policy change allows other cities now to bid on it. And this is the first time we're hearing about potential other cities. Just like the draft, the NFL draft for a long time was in East Rutherford, New York, or New Jersey. And then it was down at Radio City Music Hall. It was just in New York for a long time. Now they opened it up. They started moving that bad boy around. But the current contract runs through 2026 at Lucas Field in Indy. But it's moving, Rip. So why does this even matter? Who cares at the end of the day? The NFL is trying to spread its wings, and the draft moving cities has been cool. Detroit really represented. Green Bay's coming up this year. That's fun for the small market teams to have events like the Combine, like the draft. We'll see what happens. We love Indy. We don't want to see it go, but we'll see what happens. Potential suitors. Here we go, Rip. You got any guesses? Because there's some top contenders here.
Man, in the U.S., I got to think of a city that has a lot, but not too much, if that makes sense. So I'm going to go Kansas City, I'm going to go Cincinnati, and I'm going to go Cleveland.
Good guesses, fair guesses. The top contenders so far who have expressed interest in this RFP process has been Minneapolis. Sorry, Minnie. Marbles in my mouth. Minneapolis. They prioritize the NFL draft, but would be open to the Combine. So many on that list. Houston, also very focused on Super Bowl bids down in Houston. It's been a while since they've had one, but they're excited for Combine opportunities there. Vegas, always open. Vegas is like the whore of events. If there's an event, Vegas is open to talk dates if they can make it happen. Out of the running, LA, out of here. Phoenix, out of here. They're too busy with mega events now. The Olympics. What do we have with a FIFA World Cup coming to those markets? Those two out of here. And we'll see if Indy can put up a fight, bro. I mean, really, they're standing right now. I read a quote. One guy at the tourism board said, which he's kind of out of it. I don't know if this is true. If you haven't hosted it before, you might not be as comfortable with it. It's the combine, bro. It's not like it's the Super Bowl. Relax a little bit in Indy. Chill out a little bit, okay? It's not the only city that can handle the chaos of the combine, Rip. Maybe it is. I think the NFL is just chasing awareness and bigger paychecks too. Move the combine to a new place it hasn't been before. You're going to sell more tickets. You're going to be able to do more merch, more stuff. So we'll see. Keep your eyes on the combine as another arm. What you're seeing in sports, and you're going to keep seeing in sports in these different markets, is it's like VCs coming in. How can we trim the fat and squeeze more money out of things that already exist? So this is an example. I'd like to go to the combine one day in Indy. It looks very boring. It's not exciting. I think there's opportunity here. Even this whole segment could be stupid, Rip. Does anybody give a shit about the combine at all? Or do you see what I'm going with? There's opportunity. There's gold in them hills, even in something as silly as doing some exercises and running a 40.
I think if we actually got into the combine, which I'm sure we could get press credentials for with the success of this podcast in the past, and usually we have a guest on every year that's going to be an NFL draft pick. Rashad White, Shamar Stewart, the list goes on. But if we actually got to the combine and asked those guys some 1-star questions, I think we could put out some good content for this pod, for social media. Might get kicked out and not invited back, but I think it's worth looking at one year. I'd almost rather go to the combine than the Super Bowl, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd like to go. I mean, Hawaii, it's more logistics, more expensive. Move it around though. Sign me up for move that thing around, open up the invites to some more media. Let's have a little bit more fun with the combine in years to come after 2026. We should have booked a damn running back. Rip, it's running back depth is crazy this year. The position running back could be back. Saquon Barkley might have put this whole position on his back last year and completely brought it back. We have historic depth. This is like historic depth alert, Rip. Historic depth alert at the running back position in 2025. It's pretty loaded. We have Ashton Gentry, Boise State. Everybody knows him. He's leading the charge. He had, boy, what did he have, Rip? 30 touchdowns, 2,600 yards. He's going to be good. He's not alone, though. There's a couple other dudes. Cam Scattaboo, keep an eye on him. We're here in first round for some teams. I'll mention some teams. We got Hampton from UNC, Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, Dylan Sampson. These guys all should have been on the 1-stars as I'm saying their names. Dylan Sampson's from Tennessee. He might be the sleeper in all of these running backs. If you haven't watched a little bit of him on film, they're the top tier of running backs. So we'll see if they go in the first round. 2024, the first running back wasn't picked till 46. Nobody cared. And this year, you can see multiple running backs going in the first 2 rounds. You got teams like the Chargers, the Bears, who else? The Cowboys are primed to snag a game-changing running back after seeing what Saquon Barkley addition brought to the Eagles. So from that case, for fantasy draft lovers, for NFL fans, another reason to maybe tune in more to the combine and to the draft. Rip, if you're a team needing a running back, like this draft is your Christmas morning a little bit. Except for, I think you have a couple guys that are, may I say, Alvin Kamara-esque players here in this draft. If you're a team needing a running back, you're going to go early on a running back?
Yeah, it feels like with Ashton Genty, it almost feels like a Bijan Robinson situation where he went 8th overall, I believe, a couple of years ago, and kind of that just guaranteed successful running back. Because, like you said, a little bit, running backs have kind of been a little bit of an afterthought recently and thought of as easily replaceable. But maybe Saquon's year this year kind of changed the perspective of that a little bit. So I think Ashton for sure is going, I'd say top 20, probably even higher than that. But it feels like one of those years where you have that sure thing and you might reach for him a little bit just to make sure you get him.
I love it for fantasy. We saw Bucky, Tampa Bay, go late last year, and he'll be a keeper in a lot of keeper leagues in fantasy. I love running backs when running backs are heavy for fantasy football, and it just makes it a little bit more exciting when that position is full of guys who can make things happen. It's not such a creative player type position as it became over the last 5 years. So I'm stoked on that. There's my combine and my draft takes, Rip. Did I miss anything? Anything you got for those two genres of the world.
Maybe tight ends with last year with Brock Bowers just breaking out in his rookie season. I think maybe some of these top tight ends, the guy from Michigan, can't remember the other guy, maybe from the SEC, but maybe some of these guys will go a little higher because of the success Brock Bowers had last year. I think that tight ends might have even passed up running backs in the pecking order at this point, especially since the league has gone more toward passing.
Tight ends are it's like evolution. It's like a bird in the Serengeti who's been there for hundreds of millions of years, who's slowly morphing into exactly what that position can be. And it keeps getting better and better every year. The type of athletes that maybe once would have been left tackles are starting earlier to use those bodies in a way that could be tight end position. It's cool. Good take, bro.
Tyler Warren is a guy. Tyler Warren from Penn State.
Tyler Warren. He's going to be real good. Yeah.
Top
Running
10,
backs
I'm
and
sure.
tight ends. Let's go. Get your fantasy. Get ready. Get ready for the draft, man. Get ready for your fantasies. Those are the two positions I would research and circle if you sitting at the airport and want to kill a little bit of time. Matt Stafford, LA Rams, where he's right there in your backyard, Rip. We got trade rumors swirling right now here. Basically, we got a contract situation. Stafford's asking for $50 million a year as an extension versus his $27 million a year salary. The Rams definitely have some cap concerns. We know they're going to let a couple of those receivers walk and probably start over a bit there. Here's the deal, dude. Tua, Dak, all making $50 million plus. A lot of trade hurdles here. Teams must offer draft picks really to meet these salary demands if they trade this guy. But here's some landing spots for Stafford. Let me know what you think of these. Here's a couple landing spots. We got the Steelers. They're ready to contend. They got a good D. Pause. O-line. George Pickens. Stafford's going to be the best QB upgrade since Big Ben was there at that position. They know how to do an older quarterback. I think an older quarterback fits Pittsburgh better than a younger guy. So circle Pittsburgh. They need another wide receiver. Pickens can't carry it at all. But I think it's the best fit if they can add maybe one or two weapons there. The Giants. The Giants are interesting because they got some young wide receivers, Neighbors, Robinson. They're going to improve in the offseason. The O-line, the O-line can make some moves here. So the Giants, keep that in your radar. Cleveland Browns. Also young wide receivers, Judy, Moore, Tillman. Tight end like we talk about. David Njoku. Awful offensive line, though. So I don't think if Stafford wants to go there, he doesn't like taking sacks. So I don't know about that one. It is a run-heavy system in cold weather, though. Wouldn't surprise me if I saw that man in a Cleveland Browns uniform and the Browns made another mistake on overpaying a veteran past his prime. But dude still is good. His strengths, he's a mismatch due to scheme and protection issues. He's a dog. He's been doing this a long time. He can see it. He has a vision. The Raiders might be an option. Kind of far and few between, but they're doing a clean slate thing. They can throw it out the window and focus on Pete Carroll and, like my boy Rip said, Brock Bowers. Throw it out the window and start. That could be fun. It's a full rebuild there, though. No wide receivers. I guess at the end of the day, Rip, I don't think Stafford will join a non-contender as I say these out loud. I wouldn't. I would just retire if I were him. I know he's looking for money too, but come on, bro. Pump the brakes a little bit. Let's find the right fit and the right team to maybe go out for one more. You know what I mean? What's your vision, Rip, for Matty Stafford next year? Where does your bald-headed crystal ball tell you he will be?
I think out of all those teams you mentioned, the Giants feel like the best fit to me. They have the third overall pick, and if they could use that on like an Abdul Carter from Penn State or hell, even a Tyler Warren, but they really need to beef up their defense more. I think Stafford can be one of those guys that moves right in there and kind of turns things around quickly because he's a veteran, like you said. He's experienced. He turned the Rams around super quickly and won a Super Bowl. So he seems to like big cities, big markets. I think if he could sign like a 2 or 3 year deal with those guys, I think that'd be a great fit for him in New York.
It's not sexy. It's not what Giants fans want at all. I know that, but I tend to agree with you a little bit. Just some stability for a year. Here's a situation. Did you hear Milk Kuiper drop some bombs about Sanders, Shadir Sanders? Isn't the type of quarterback NFL team wants, but he's still projected a top 5 pick. So Is this a weak quarterback class? Are we inflating the stock? Or is this Kiper not reading the room right, like a Jaden Daniels situation? Here's the dilemma, though. Let's think about that. The vet versus the rookie. Because Giants fans probably want Sanders, but they understand like a guy like Stafford could I don't even know. As I say it, I don't want Stafford. I want to go take the risky shit. Let's get into it though. Stafford versus Sanders. Rip. Stafford. Pros. Go ahead. Immediate contender. He's an elite quarterback with accuracy. You pair him with Neighbors and Robinson, like I said. Possible playoff push, right? That's the pro. Any other pros of having Stafford on your squad for this team?
Yeah, it's really just the experience, the leadership, the durability, the resume. I mean,
Boom.
it's all of that. It's all of that versus Shador, who's unproven. A lot of first round quarterbacks end up being busts, so we don't
Stuff
know.
they haven't seen in New York for years and years and years. Cons. Dude is 37. $50 million a year is a shitload of money. I think that's too much for a 37-year-old quarterback with maybe a 2-year window max. Sanders, super high floor, number 3 pick, long-term solution, can throw the ball 60 yards. Risk of another Daniel Jones situation and a miss. Jameis Winston's out there. I don't want to sleep on Jameis too. I just I'll throw him into the Giants mix. That could be crazy though. Turnover pro, not a franchise quarterback, but fun. Might sell some tickets. So the best move here overall, Rip, for the Giants. We're honing in on the Giants. I don't know how we even got here. Would actually be this, bro. Matt Stafford plus Sanders. How, DK? How would this happen? You'd have to trade for Matt Stafford without losing the number 3 pick. That might be tougher. Draft Sanders with number 3, and then use Stafford as a bridge. You like where I'm going to with that, Rip? You like that one? So the controversy here would be, or to trade the number 3 pick for Stafford and gamble on Sanders. That's another option. You might be able to get a package for that number 3 pick if the squad really wants somebody out there. So all kinds of stuff to do. Really, the debate at the end of the day is Stafford's short-term upside versus Sanders' risk, and what's the Giants' best path. So that's what I see with a handful of teams going on here over the next couple weeks and couple months as we move forward into the draft. I think Pittsburgh is a good spot. Unfortunately, my vision that I see, my crystal ball, is he's going to be a Cleveland Brown, and it's going to be a sad ending to his career. Let's talk some hoops. March Madness, Rip, right around the corner. Did you hear at all about James Harden donating money to the NIL program at Arizona State?
I heard maybe Kenny Dillingham's got him fired up as well. They sure need it with basketball wise.
It's interesting. I thought that's a great idea. That's a great idea for a handful of reasons, from the marketing side and getting alumni involved. But then I started thinking of it kind of as it's just for clout. It's really just a clout move. There's not a lot of super upside for these NBA millionaires getting involved in this game. So, Mom, just to break it down for you, James Harden went to Arizona State University. He's helping with the recruitment coup going on there with Coach Hurley. So he threw in $100,000 annual donation. He's going to do it every year to the Sun Angel Collective. This helps secure 5-star recruit Jaden. How do I say his last name? I always mess it up, Rip. Acquaintance?
Maybe maintenance, but with a Q?
Quaintance. I like that. Jaden Quaintance. So that flipped the script a little bit for the program with just a shitty tournament history. And he hasn't helped that much. Still underwhelming squad there. So here's Harden throwing this money in, helps get a top recruit, helps Arizona State's on the map more than ever. The basketball side's still coming together a little bit. It's not quite there. Other NBA guys are getting involved. George Niang, former 1-star on the podcast, friend of the pod. Halliburton, both Iowa State alumni, donated also $100K to their alma mater. It's not a lot of money, Rip, but it's still significant. Nick Claxton donated some money back to Georgia. You know, it's just a contrast really going on here. So at the end of the day, are you burning money? Is this helping? Richard Jefferson's pretty skeptic about it. I'm going to talk about Richard Jefferson because he's the new golden boy at ESPN, and Rip reacts. We'll talk about it. He prefers funding, and I agree with Richard Jefferson. I think you're going to too, Rip. He prefers funding facilities. For example, using he did a $3.5 million donation to U of A in Tucson over the collectives. He called the nil investments a waste of time due to the lack of regulation. He would rather see his money go into tangible things like facility. And we've heard a lot of athletic directors talk about just how important facility is. The crazy thing is, just in the 1 year since we've dug deep into the athletic departments of these universities, that might have switched. Money in your pocket, cash money in your pocket might have become more important just in 1 year over having the best facilities, but they're still super important. I mentioned the ROI concerns. George Niang's a super smart guy. He was on our podcast. He admits that the donations feel like burnt money. You know, if the teams underperform or if he's satisfied with Iowa State's top 10 success, it's not like he's getting money back in his pocket for that donation. That's why it's all just swag. It's all just it's for the streets, you know, so you could talk about it.
Is it a tax write-off?
Good question. That's where the lack of regulation has this whole thing kind of in a tizzy. So it's an interesting take seeing the NBA guys. It makes sense. It makes sense to be a good alumni, donate back to your school and your program. The question is just, how do you do it that helps your team win titles or get to the NCAA tournament? School size matters, Rip, a lot. Players from smaller programs, Damian Lillard right here in Oregon, went to Weber State. It's lack of established structure in the NIL department has really kind of reduced their incentive to contribute or be a part of it. But a donation from Lit, it could change the whole trajectory of the team right there, that 100K. So put that in mind. Bigger schools versus smaller schools. Lots to be talked about, you know. Performance does not equal success. And Arizona State's kind of the leader in that too. You got to have it all together a little bit more in college sports to win at a high level, especially when this kind of money, recruitment, and I don't even know what else is being offered here. It's never been this competitive. So with more NBA guys following Harden's lead, Rip, and the divide could reshape a lot of this recruiting stuff. You know, his gambles paid off for Arizona State getting a top guy, but a lot of other NBA players I think are going to be hesitant to get into this race for the best college team, because what's the reward at the end of the day besides look what I did? Tax write-off, maybe, get a t-shirt. I don't know if it's the right path. This is all pretty crazy, Rip. Every month there's a new thing in this category of paying college players that we didn't fully think through. We didn't fully go through in our heads what could happen. And I think Arizona State might be a team to look at as a team that maybe just put guys before team, money before team, and it's not translating into W's. Like Texas Tech, for example, is turning it around with team chemistry and good basketball. I'm on a tangent. It's confusing, though. Wrap it up, Rip. Are you for or against NBA guys donating back to their programs? Why not, I guess?
If I had that much money, I would definitely donate. We talked about it a lot in the history of this pod. I have not come around to donating anything yet to ASU. I don't have a $300 million contract like James Harden, but Kenny Dillingham, man, I need one more year. I need one more year in the college football playoff, and then I'll fork over some dough.
All right, we heard you. It doesn't have to be money either, Rip. The small schools, if you want, are getting creative with it. Idea alert. Here's an idea for you. Did you hear about Woj he's working with what he's got at St. Bonaventures? Did you hear about his monetization plan?
Yeah, he's all over. I still follow him on Twitter. He's got all these summits and forums. He's selling his old iPhones. Is that what you're talking about? He's selling his old iPhones.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You don't have to be money. Maybe you can sell some of your old hats or some of your old drawers. Rip, Woj is out there reshaping the game, selling. He's auctioning off his iPhones that he used to break iconic NBA news. The LeBron to the Lakers phone, for example, up there. It's pretty cool. And he's using this money to fund St. Bonaventure's athletic programs. It's kind of a genius way to blend nostalgia with modern fundraising, or a gimmick that overshadow. It could be a gimmick too. You know, I don't want that to overshadow the basketball, because it does a little bit. So you could get creative with it, Rip. Doesn't have to be money per se.
Do you think he deleted all the text and photos and data on those phones? Like, you're just getting an old phone with nothing on it? What's the value in that? I need to see the pictures, the nudes of the
it's
GMs.
Historical
I need
value,
to see everything.
Rip. That's historical piece of the phones tied to major stories like the Kawhi PG to Clippers trade, the Wembanyama draft. Dude, valuable. Those are valuable historical items. Put them in the Louvre.
Nobody wants an old phone with nothing on it, man. Come on. What happened bad in your life during your trip to Arizona? What's your one-star moment of the week from last week?
One star moments of the week, man. We all have them. Rip and I talk about them. My one star moment of the week. Let's call this one the Twin Peaks Tempe edition. So this week's win is a masterclass in to how to humiliate yourself in front of your friends while pretending to be a sports guy. Really, it's the moral of this story here. So the scene for my one star moment is this Friday night, Tempe, Arizona, 78 degrees. Feeling real good, Rip. We're hanging out, got some dinner, get some wonderful wings, some smoked wings at Twin Peaks in Tempe. My homie Simmons, it's his birthday. He comes over, chills. I said, "What do you want to do for your birthday?" My man has a really good idea. He wants to hit the Mint dispensary, grab a little bit of legal weed, take some bong rips, and go play basketball at 10 p.m. on the local court in Gilbert. Sounds fun, right? Wrong. Not fun for me at all, Rip. Here's what happened. I went 0 for 5 in around the world horse, free throw competition, and 3-pointers. What was happening to me was like think of it like I felt like Ben Simmons. I thought I had a Ben Simmons level of basketball dementia. My hands were arguing with each other which one was the shooting hand. You know, when you haven't shot a basketball in a long time, you shoot a basketball, but your left hand kind of does a thing, and your right hand. This was happening. My legs were shaking after a couple jump shots, like a giraffe, and my jump shot was so off from short range. It's like a toddler throwing it up there. It was just unbelievable. So the whole thing is like I'm a sports podcaster, and I'm skinny again, and I'm in shape a little bit. I shouldn't be losing this bad to my friends. My body shouldn't be lying to me that I can't make any shots at all. I'm now taking tennis lessons. Here's the situation. I'm now taking tennis lessons. I'm vowing to shoot hoops weekly at this stage now. Because if I don't, the one stars might have to start a Patreon just for my like man dignity back. I was so incredibly embarrassed. So if you ever see me at Twin Peaks in Tempe, which you might see me again, Rep, it's the new Hooters. People should check it out. The new Hooters is Twin Peaks. It's interesting to say the least. But shit, if you see me out there, I'll buy you some sweet potato fries. They're super good. And the smoked lemon pepper wings were actually super good. Don't challenge me to a basketball game, okay? My ego can't handle it. So my one-star moment of the week was deciding to go shoot hoops with my other 43-year-old fat friends and them whooping my ass, and that being completely unacceptable. Completely unacceptable. So Twin Peaks, fun experience. Check it out. If you have not done that in your life, do not go shoot a game of horse or a game around the world with your asshole friends unless you've shot a couple baskets in the past year. Left the night feeling like a loser, Rip, and not a winner. And I should have felt like a winner. I went to Twin Peaks. I went to Mint Dispensary, which has a full restaurant there. Never knew that you could get a cannabis-infused cheeseburger and fries at a dispensary. What a time to be alive. All was going well until we hit that basketball court, and I'm completely embarrassed with myself. And it was 1 star, and it will not happen again. I'm gonna do another video in a month of me shooting 3-pointers, just like I did in Kapalua at free throws. People remember that video. I'm gonna do 5 3-pointers again in 1 month, and I'll put it on video for social because it's not happening again.
I don't know what ever made you think it was even remotely a good idea to go play basketball after the sequence of events you just described, but I think your mistake was the reference point that you were ever good at basketball. The only video out there that exists of you playing basketball, I think you went 0 for 10 in the CP3 challenge. I just showed my kids the other day, and we're laughing at your form, your waddle, the famous DK waddle.
Yep.
If you can make 5 threes, unedited, AI altered, and put a video out there, that's the only way you're going to redeem yourself in my eyes. But you were never good at basketball to begin with. You're good at tennis. I'll give you that. But basketball, it's not your thing, DK. You got to at some point you got to admit it.
It's not my thing. And I do want to admit it, but I would like to win. I feel like if I could win 1 game of horse or 1 game of around the world, I missed a lot of small little jumpers from the first 2 spots on around the world. So change is coming. At least I'm gonna beat your ass, and I'm gonna beat your kids. That's my commitment, Rep. I'm going to beat the whole brand family and around the world. Stay tuned.
Sometimes failure is the best teacher, the best motivation. So I look forward to that game between us. But my 1 star moment of the week is actually happening right now, but it's the end of it right now. DK, you talked about last week. Some of our listeners want to hear us more, but in reality, this is the 4th straight week, DK, with no guest on 1 star recruits, and to me, that's a little bit too much. Maybe 1 week, 2 weeks is fine, but going one straight month without a guest for us, I think I'm sick of myself talking. You're probably sick of yourself. So I think it's time to bring back guests. And fortunately, we have one next week. So just 1 star moment of the week is just this pod, 4 straight week, no guests. It's not a good recipe for us.
It doesn't make you don't feel good about just me and you. I like
I said,
you,
1
Rip.
or 2 weeks is great. It feels good sometimes. It takes a little bit off the load of producing and editing the show, but 4 weeks is too long. We need 5 stars back on the show. It's too much 1 star.
It's a lot of 1 star. I just did probably a 12-minute ramble on the combine in the city of Indianapolis. I was thinking back. I'm embarrassed already. I'm already embarrassed. They haven't even dropped it, Rep. So you're right. You might be right. Any hint? Any hint about the guest next week?
He's a 5 star. That's the only hint.
That's it.
That's it, man. We can't give too much away. What's your recommendation of the week?
Recommendation of the week. Oh, this is kind of fun. Maybe you can utilize this in your life, Rep. This was super fun. So this weekly recommendation is it's a culinary revelation for me. It's a little bold. It might make you question your life decisions that you have not decided to eat Peking duck sooner than you did. So Peking duck. So it's Hong Kong restaurant. So if you Google Hong Kong restaurant near you or Peking duck near you, I'm sure you'll be able to find a place. Peking duck. It's the star of the show. It's crispy, savory, served with hoisin sauce, hot sauce, duck sauce, scallions. It's really a dish that will make you wonder why I wasn't getting this sooner in my life. To be completely real, it's a family-friendly dish with your kids. It's interactive eating at its finest because they serve this amazing Peking duck, which has this crispy skin, and they prepare it so well for you, Rip, that you're able to just make these little buns with this and eat them. I think kids will actually love them. The good news about like these Hong Kong style Chinese restaurants too is even if you're not down for a Peking duck with your kids, you can get them a fried rice or like a poo-poo platter. So if you got like one expert eater kid and one basic kid, you can find double solutions with this type of vibe. But Peking duck, dude, went to a place on Dobson Road in Mesa. What was it called? I think Best Hong Kong Dining was the name of it. Not too creative with the name, but it was the best. And it was the perfect place to kind of pretend like you're a food critic in Hong Kong, eating different foods. And it was bomb. So my 2025 prediction, it's my recommendation to try Peking duck. Don't order the roast duck. The roast duck is different. The roast duck is the same duck, but they just give you the duck. The Peking duck, they actually take the skin off, make it crispy, pull all of the bones out so you don't have any bones, and create it on this nice platter. So you just put it inside of your bun and eat it. But I think Peking duck becomes the suburbs' next avocado toast is my 2025 prediction. Peking duck. Did I sell you?
That's an interesting prediction. I didn't need to be sold. I loved Peking duck since my trip to China back in 2013. I was fortunate enough to eat at one of the best Peking duck restaurants in Beijing, 5-star, 100%. Since then, I've had Peking duck 3 or 4 times. It's not readily accessible. You don't find it anywhere. But the 3 or 4 times I've had it, it's always been 5-star. It's a great rec. I mean, it's probably a once a year thing, but I think it should probably be more frequent.
You can't do it a lot. Yeah, you can't do it a lot. Do you do the style in China where you had the buns and the scallion and you put it in the little bun?
I don't know if they do the buns in China. We had I believe salad, the duck straight off the leg, and I believe soup. I think that was what it was.
Damn. Well, different dish, but I'm glad you like it. It's rich. Any interest in possibly just for an outing with your kids? Can we get a commitment on the podcast now? DK, talk to wifey. Say, hey, DK brought up Peking duck and we loved it. Went on our trip to China. I found a place here in Long Beach. Let's take the kids and try to do it. Did I sell you on an outing, cultural experience, and new food?
Man, my older one's been a little more adventurous with food lately, eating mussels and all kinds of shellfish. But I think the duck thing might be a little tough to get past when they're still in that phase of actually thinking of the animal and that it's a duck walking around the park or flying around the neighborhood that you're eating. So that might be a little bit down the road. I think it's more of a date night at this point.
All right. Well, fair. Thanks for liking my rec. That makes me feel good, bro. What's yours?
You probably hear some of this in the background, but we're currently getting our bathroom remodeled right now as we speak during this pod. There's a full grown man jackhammering in my bathroom. Oh, it's a weird reference there, but
Pause.
jackhammering the walls out. We've had some work done on our front yard in the past week. It looks amazing. Got all new kinds of plants, drip system. I mentioned a couple weeks ago we bought new pillows, $100 pillow. Never thought I'd spend that much money on a pillow. It's really been a little bit of a spending spree for frugal folks like us. We're spending the dollars. So my recommendation of the week, though, we've been happy with all of it aside from the pillows. If we didn't do it now in 5 years, it's something that the cost would probably be doubled. Work is always expensive these days, but my recommendation of the week is if you got something to get done, spend the money. I mean, open up your wallet. If you got a little bit of extra cash, something as simple as getting a little bit of the front yard redone, something as major as getting a bathroom remodeled. We're happy with all of it, and I don't think it's anything we're going to regret. So that's my rec of the week, man.
The value guy spending all his pape. Tough
Happens
economy
once
out
every
there.
10 years. Once every 10 years, we spend a little bit of money. So we're happy with it right now.
Well, damn, maybe you're the rich guy on this podcast, Rip. Maybe we had everybody tricked this whole time. Maybe you are the rich guy. Go ahead. What's the biggest highlight of your new renovated 5-star bathroom? You got a Toto toilet in there? You got a steam shower?
No, mine is something I fought hard for. It's a little bit of a weird alignment, but we're doing a double sink. So my argument was it's the kids' bathroom, so I wanted each of them to have their own sink. Right now, it'll stop fights over brushing their teeth at the same time, or when they get older, they'll have a little bit of extra space for each other. So that was my big win, getting the double sink. It made the shower a little bit smaller, but probably the big win for them too is a bidet. DK, we took your rec of the week. We're getting a bidet. I'm still not a fan, and but it might be a rec of the week here pretty soon because I'm probably gonna have to start using it.
Less skid marks in the undies is what that means, bro. That's a big W. Big W. Very weird, very unique to put a double sink in your guest bedroom, but I've seen it done before. Not the most common because people usually like to keep space. It's not a lot of space in those bathrooms. So unique in your guest bedroom. More common in the main bathrooms, I would say, of houses. But I like that, bro. Very cool. Very cool. Rich Rip. Rip reacts. Hit the music. All right, a little baseball talk, Rip, but get you going, get you all hot and heavy here. We know you're a big baseball guy. Robot umps, they're not coming to Major League Baseball, but there is a new automated ball strike challenge system that could reshape the entire game. It started to happen here, Rip. So we got an impact on umpiring, catcher strategy, and even TV broadcasts here. So is this a step towards modernization in baseball, or is this a compromise that risk of losing baseball's human charm? Have we started? Have we began down the path now?
100% risk of losing the human charm. I know there's always a margin for error when it comes to humans making calls, but I'm more of a traditionalist. I'm a little old school, and we need to keep some of it in there. We already have replay challenges. It's not something we can do on balls and strikes, but now it's becoming that. So it's going to make the game a little longer, having to challenge a ball and strike call. And again, just having that human charm and human margin of error in there, I think is worth it to me.
They're calling them strategic challenges in MLB. The teams will get 2 challenges per game. So retain them if successful. So this will change in-game decision-making, man. You got to save. It's like coaching. You got to save them for the critical moments or use them in those systems. They're going to have to decide if it's going to be a hybrid system or fully automated system. So kind of clarify that this ABS isn't replacing human umpires, but it adds a challenge layer, essentially, to using this pitch tracking system and this tech. Broadcast is interesting to me because the virtual strike zone on TV might disappear. And it's a fan favorite. They don't use it as much, but it's a fan favorite, because you could pretty clearly do a WTF when you see that box there and the missing calls. So that it could change things from a broadcast standpoint. I don't know if that messes up a little bit. I'm not watching baseball to watch the virtual strike zone box, but it is a thing to think of. So they're just doing this in spring training now, Rip. So if it's successful, it could debut in 2026. I know you hate it, but why it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. You just don't want to get things wrong in big games and big moments anymore. That would be the asterisk for me. Big moments in big games, less of like wasting time in small, dumb decisions for like the NBA. Everybody wants the replay for everything. And we're sick of the finger. I don't want the finger anymore from the players, you know? Everything's a challenge. Nothing's a foul. It's a thin line. One of the biggest babies in all of it, the biggest finger wagger who wants a challenge, Joel Embiid. $300 million contract is a financial albatross. It's a dead weight albatross at this time. He's injured, Rip. He's out again. So the 76ers, should they trade him? Should they trade him now or keep him as kind of like the sinking ship's anchor is really what he is and what he's been for the last couple of years? Is this time?
Man, at this point, it seems like they'd get pennies on the dollar, but it might be worth it. I mean, it reminds me a little bit of the Ben Simmons thing where he could come back at some point and be effective. But yeah, everything's pointing down right now. I just don't know what you're going to get for him if you do trade him. But on the counter side, if he's going to be there, he's not going to be useful at all right now. So if you can get something for him, let him go.
You said it with Wemby in one of our group texts when he got hurt. These big bodies aren't they things happen to these big bodies. Joel's a perfect example. 300 million. Trust the process. He's just a big body, Rip, right? Go ahead. Tell the listeners what you meant by that. And this is definitely a case of it, I would imagine.
I mean, it's just the history of these big guys, Greg Oden, Ralph Sampson. I mean, all these guys have injuries at some point. It's just their bodies are too big. Their body parts are too big. There's too much weight on the joints, too much size. It doesn't ever seem to work out too well for them. So, Embiid's been a guy who's had injuries throughout his career, and now that he's getting a little older, I think they're easier to come by for him. Wemby's a big one there. Came down this week with Pop. Is this the end of Popovich era with San Antonio with Wemby sideline? Pop's now uncertain. Rip, can the Spurs rebuild, or is it time to say goodbye to a legend? I think it's too early to tell. I hope it's not the end because he doesn't deserve to go out like this. I hope he's able to go out on his own terms a little bit, especially since they made the big trade for De'Aaron Fox. We might not get to see much of him being able to play with Wemby. So I'm hoping that Wemby and Pop are both good to go at the start of next season so we can at least see a year with that full arsenal and see what they can do.
The worst fans in all of the world are the U of A Wildcats fans. They've proven it once again, Rip. The Arizona fans playing BYU were chanting F the Mormons. Classless or just another day in college sports, Rip? Should the school's apology be enough, or does stuff like this reflect deeper issues in fan culture? Have we gotten to that point?
100% reflects deeper issues. And now that I'm a parent and I bring my kids to games, I hate it even more. I mean, you don't want your kids to hear that and have to ask questions about it. So if you're a fan and you look around, you see little kids out there chanting that stuff in front of little kids, it's despicable, to be honest. And it's not just U of A fans. It's fans everywhere these days. I think the behavior just has to get better at sporting events or no one's going to go anymore with kids.
It's part of sports culture, though, to get out there and see things that you don't normally see in the stands. Could be a thin line of getting too woke and losing that experience. Imagine going to an arena. Dallas Mavericks are going through it a little bit right now and not being able to say what you want. Free speech. A lot of those things fall into play versus coddling these children. If on that side, it's a thin line. I agree with you. You should be classy, fans, and you shouldn't do really disrespectful things and say disrespectful things, because who wants that in the world? Look at soccer in Europe. You know, it's very racial and very terrible in some of the worst ways, but on the flip side, it has some of the best camaraderie, the singing of the songs, the community. The kids come up as youngsters to become great in it, and that's that negativity and hate is mixed into this cultural swirl of it. Does that make any sense? Where I see it's a strange mixture, Rip, of gray area to me. If you go the opposite side, what are we doing? We're sitting on our hands, just gently giving compliments to everybody. Is that what we're doing?
No, I think there's a way to do it to be effective at heckling and chanting, but the hateful chants, the hurtful chants, I think there's no place for that in a mass sporting event. But that's why people want to stay home.
What would Coach Ballgame tell your Miami Hurricanes Little League team?
He would tell us that the first priority is not winning. It's different in the pros, but Little League, he told us this weekend, the first priority is making these kids have fun and want to come back. So it's not winning, but that's a kid thing. We're talking about adults here.
Talking about adults, tell those adults it's just not about winning, all right? Stop being nice. You got fans chanting F Rip in Little League right now because you're not dishing out enough trolleys for base hits. That's what I heard, at least. Last one. Richard Jefferson, another University of Arizona's finest. Third time mentioned in this podcast today, Richard Jefferson. Got an ESPN promotion. So that ESPN broadcast booth is kind of like The Bachelor a little bit. JJ Redick got the rose. Richard Jefferson's the new contestant. Rip, will RJ last longer, or will he be called out of the studio to the NBA sidelines? Is this the new path to being an NBA coach?
Absolutely not. I think JJ Redick was too much of a unicorn, and there's no way RJ's following that path. He'll be good. He's good at his job, but I mean, for him, hopefully he'll last 10, 15 years there because there's no way that guy's going into coaching.
Ain't no way. I got love for RJ. Congratulations. I got love for Perk. 500level.com. All kinds of great gear. Get your banana slugs gear, like your boy DK here. Banana slugs. I've began my hat campaign. We'll be back next week with a guest, a 5-star guest from one of the biggest college programs in the country. We'll see you next week.
See you next week.